think that they're right half the time. I am a little bit nuts doing the things that we do to find the right cars or get the cars, but I can't help myself. And if you don't lay it out there, it's a no anyway.
In 2021, Counting Cars vanished. After 10 seasons, no finale, no explanation, the History Channel just moved on.
I've been about this Superfly Cadillac ever since I was a kid.
This car does make it a lot easier to look cool, though.
Dude, without a doubt, are you kidding me? I love this car.
One of them had his reputation destroyed by a story that had nothing to do with him.
This car for years to come, and that's a feeling that I know and I love, and they are some happy people.
And nobody corrected it for 8 years. Another lost everything he had built after the show to a pandemic and had to start over from nothing. So where are they now in 2026?
Maybe some big wet headers coming off of it to give it that attitude.
Join us as we find out what happened to the Counting Cars cast back then and where they are now. Danny Count Coker. Before Counting Cars ever aired, Danny Coker was already known in Las Vegas. Count's Customs had started as a place for him and his father to work on personal projects.
I collect cars, and my father and I, we collect together for years. Dad's in heaven. The Lord called him home in '08, and I still can't cope with it. The most important person in my world.
And grew into a custom shop that had earned serious attention in the automotive world. When the History Channel came to him in 2012, Danny did not need to build a persona. He already had one. His look, his voice, and his confidence came from 20 years in Las Vegas before any camera arrived. For 10 seasons, viewers watched him acquire, restore, and transform vehicles most people only dream of owning. He fronted Count's 77, a hard rock band he had been building for years alongside the shop. The band had been recording and performing in Las Vegas long before the show started. They released albums independently and played live throughout the show's run. It was never a side project to Danny, even when the television work was at its peak. He and his wife, Corey, co-owned Count's Vamped Rock Bar and Grill, a Las Vegas venue that ran for 16 years. His cameos on Pawn Stars kept him visible across the broader History Channel franchise during the show's run. When the cameras stopped in 2021, Danny kept moving. Count's Customs stayed open, builds kept coming, and the social media presence never went quiet. Then, in 2025, Count's Vamped Rock Bar and Grill closed after 16 years. Reports indicated Danny and Corey were in talks to sell the property for close to $3 million. He launched Count's Culture in March 2026, a podcast and vodcast shot on a dedicated set inside Count's Customs itself. The original Counting Cars executive producer, Sean Witt, came back to work on it. Early guests included rock broadcaster Eddie Trunk, UFC Hall of Famer Randy Couture, and former Kiss guitarist Bruce Kulick. It streams on YouTube and is available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Amazon Music. Danny described it as cars, music, and conversation with people who built their lives outside the lines. Danny had the name, but for 8 years, someone else in that shop had the wrong name attached to a story he had nothing to do with. So, who was it? Ryan Evans. Ryan Evans had been at Count's Customs for over a decade before any camera arrived. He moved to Las Vegas in 1999 after Danny noticed his work while he was based in Los Angeles. Before that, he had started painting in his parents' garage in Texas. That was where the skill was built. By the time Counting Cars launched in 2012, Ryan was already central to what the shop produced. A 1981 Chevy C10 van that Danny had owned since 1982 got a vampire-themed redesign, deep red with flames, that became one of the shop's most recognized pieces. A 1971 Superfly Cadillac received a full gold treatment, that stopped people in their tracks. A 1973 Buick Riviera boat tail in black, red, and silver earned Best in Show at SEMA, one of the most competitive automotive showcases in the country. SEMA draws thousands of builds from professional shops across the country. Best in Show is not a participation category. For a working custom shop to win it while simultaneously filming a television series was a genuine industry achievement. Toward the later seasons, Ryan appeared less frequently on screen. The reason wasn't what fans were speculating. When news of a Counts Customs embezzlement case circulated in 2016, several media outlets published the story alongside photographs of Ryan. The person accused was a completely different employee. The misidentification spread quickly and stuck. It stayed attached to his name for years, and most of the people who saw the original story never saw a correction. In 2024, Mike posted a video on Instagram making it clear that Ryan had not stolen anything and was still working there. His listing on the shop's website confirmed it. Head artist and paint shop manager. Still active. Still building. Kevin Mack stayed quiet after the show ended too, but his reasons had nothing to do with anyone else's story. Kevin Mack. Kevin Mack appeared on Counting Cars as part of the core team at Counts Customs. His role focused on locating vehicles for the shop to purchase and restore, and he was frequently seen alongside Danny Coker during inspections and negotiations. In many episodes, he rode in the passenger seat while Danny evaluated potential deals across Las Vegas and the surrounding areas. Before the show began filming, Kevin and Danny had an established working relationship. Kevin was involved with Counts Customs during its earlier years, prior to its expansion into a television-backed business. As the shop's profile grew through national exposure, he remained in the same position, continuing to handle acquisitions and assist with day-to-day operations tied to incoming projects. Across the show's 10-season run, Kevin's on-screen appearances followed a consistent pattern. He participated in scouting trips, discussed pricing and the condition of vehicles, and was present during purchase decisions. His responsibilities stayed tied to sourcing inventory rather than fabrication or custom design work inside the shop. After new episodes of Counting Cars stopped airing in 2021, Kevin did not launch independent media projects or commercial ventures connected to the show. His public online activity has remained limited. Posts associated with him primarily include attendance at car-related events and general personal interests. He has also shared updates connected to Danny Coker's projects, including podcast releases. There have been no public announcements indicating a change in his role within Counts Customs. Available information continues to associate him with the same business and responsibilities shown during the series. Kevin never needed the cameras. Mike never stopped needing an audience, but one thing he did with it had nothing to do with himself. What was it? Horny Mike. Horny Mike was never going to be everyone's favorite, and he seemed genuinely comfortable with that. His humor ran loud and juvenile. His design choices, big vehicles, horn motifs, and heavy use of green were not for every taste. On Counting Cars, he divided viewers cleanly. Nobody argued he was forgettable. What Mike brought beyond the personality was real skill. His custom airbrush work on motorcycles, helmets, and vehicles was technically precise, even when the designs themselves leaned toward the absurd. He had been doing commission airbrush work long before the show found him, and he kept taking commissions the entire time it ran. After the show ended, Mike treated his audience like a business. Daily Instagram posts, regular YouTube appearances, custom hats through his own platform, including one that read, "Make America Horny Again," which told you everything you needed to know about his red on his own fanbase. The people who found him through Counting Cars stayed because he never gave them a reason to leave. In 2024, he used that platform for something that had nothing to do with his own brand. He posted a video. One name, one correction. After 8 years of silence on the subject, Mike was the one who said it out loud. He also used his platform to publicly endorse Donald Trump in the 2024 election. Away from cars and politics, his social media made clear he considered himself a dedicated cat person, something he stated without irony and appeared to mean completely. Mike used his platform to fix something. Shannon Aikau never had anything to fix, but he was carrying something heavier than a reputation. What was it? Shannon Aikau. Shannon Aikau came to Count's Customs with Jimmy, his father, and one of Danny's oldest friends. His background with motorcycles came from years working alongside Jimmy before Count's Customs existed. By the time cameras arrived, Shannon was already one of the most experienced custom bike builders in the business. After Counting Cars ended, Shannon stayed active in the custom motorcycle world, posting builds on Instagram, taking commissions, and making appearances at shows and industry events. He posted about his daughters regularly, about Hawaiian cooking, about his second cousin Eddie Aikau. The craft and the family were the same world for him, never separate. But one build carried weight that none of the others did. A 1977 Purple Haze FXE, the last motorcycle Shannon and Jimmy finished together before Jimmy passed. Danny had it placed on permanent display at Count's Vamped. It stayed there for 16 years, until the venue closed in 2025. Shannon never needed a second act. He just kept building. Shannon never left. Scott Jones was gone after 2 seasons with no explanation, and the theory about why was darker than most people realized. So what was it? Scott Jones. Scott Jones was only on Counting Cars for 2 seasons. As the shop's project manager, he set the operational tone on the floor, and was the only person in that building who seemed genuinely indifferent to the cameras. He was direct, demanding, and clearly more interested in results than in how the process appeared on camera. He was not there to generate drama. He was managing the work. He left after Season 2 in 2013, and neither he nor anyone at Count's Customs explained. No farewell episode, no public statement from either side. He had no active social media presence, which left fans with no way to follow up. The silence around his exit was complete. The timing of his exit, 2013, around the same period the shop's finances were quietly being redirected, made for a convenient theory. It circulated for years, but the confirmed version of events was considerably less dramatic. His son was born, and commuting between Las Vegas and Greenville, Tennessee, stopped making sense. A 2021 article from a local Tennessee publication confirmed he had returned to Greenville, gone into business with his former employer, Dale Kiker, and made a brief return to television through Netflix's Swap Shop. Scott rebuilt quietly. Roli Sabo tried the same thing, and it was working, until it wasn't. What happened? Roli Sabo. Roli Sabo was the only person on Counting Cars who could resolve a tense negotiation simply by speaking Hungarian. In one episode, a storage facility standoff turned into a fast agreement the moment Roli realized the worker on the other side of the counter shared his first language. It was the kind of moment that summed him up, part car person, part natural entertainer. Roli never confirmed why he left Count's Customs. On social media, he acknowledged the decision wasn't entirely his. He didn't elaborate. What he focused on after that was building something of his own. He opened a car detailing business in Las Vegas called Rock & Roli Custom Detailing. His name from the show brought clients in, and the business ran well for a period. In 2019, he traveled to a professional training facility in Quebec, Canada, to develop his technique further. The trip was significant because it suggested Roli was treating the detailing business as a long-term trade, not just a temporary use of his television name. He was investing in the craft itself, which made what happened next harder to absorb. Then the pandemic arrived and cut through it. Clients stopped. Revenue dropped. The Rock and Roli website went offline, and the business disappeared from his social media entirely. By 2025, a rebuild was clearly underway. Roli was posting regularly on Instagram, showing up at car shows in California, and staying visible in the community. In October 2025, he and Mike appeared together at the Mariposa Car Show, the first time fans had seen both of them in the same place in years. Roli's business collapsed. Count's Customs had a different kind of drain, and it ran for years before anyone noticed. Who was responsible, and whose name took the blame? Joseph Frontiera. Joseph Frontiera joined Count's Customs in 2013 through Randstad Professionals, a Delaware-based staffing agency. His role gave him direct access to the company's accounts and, through those, to client accounts. He held that access for years before anyone noticed the numbers were no longer adding up. Joseph had been redirecting company funds for personal use over an extended period, including a Range Rover down payment, airline tickets, totaling approximately $75,000. A scheduled IRS tax payment had also been missed under his watch, resulting in an additional $18,000 penalty for Count's Customs. The shop moved quickly. Joseph was removed, and a lawsuit was filed in two directions, against Joseph and against Randstad Professionals, because the agency had placed him despite knowing about his prior criminal history involving similar conduct. The lawsuit argued that Randstad had placed someone with a documented pattern of this specific behavior into a role that gave him direct access to client funds. It was not a routine employment dispute. Randstad countersued, Joseph's legal team sought dismissal, and the case ran for years. The outcome of the Randstad countersuit was never publicly confirmed, which meant the staffing agency that placed a man with a documented fraud history into a financial access role walked away from the case without a clear public reckoning. In 2019, the court ruled in Count's Customs' favor. Joseph was ordered to pay over $40,000 in damages. His whereabouts after that ruling were not publicly known. The financial damage was contained, the reputational damage wasn't, and it didn't land on Joseph. It landed on someone else entirely. Joseph disappeared after the ruling. Rick Harrison couldn't, and in 2024, he faced something no deal could fix. What was it? Rick Harrison. Rick Harrison was not a regular cast member of Counting Cars. He was the reason it existed. As the star of Pawn Stars, the History Channel show that launched the entire franchise, his presence in Las Vegas automotive culture predated the entire Counting Cars universe. He appeared on Counting Cars in a guest capacity, most memorably in the pilot episode, where he helped Danny and the crew locate a 1968 Mustang. In another appearance, he brought Mike over to the gold and silver pawn shop floor for a customer service walkthrough. Outside of television, Rick had become an increasingly visible figure in Las Vegas's political circles. He had been publicly vocal about his support for Donald Trump and discussed a Nevada Senate run on more than one occasion, though he never committed to a formal campaign. In January 2024, Rick's son Adam died of a fentanyl overdose. Rick did not retreat from the cameras or go quiet. He spoke to the media directly about Adam's death, connected it to the movement of fentanyl across the southern border, and called for stronger enforcement measures. In the 14 months between Adam's death and the Cancun ceremony, Rick had interview after interview about fentanyl, the border, and what he wished he had done differently. He had not gone quiet once. His son Corey missed the Cancun ceremony after a motorcycle accident. Danny, who had officiated Rick's 2013 wedding, wasn't there either. The ceremony went ahead regardless. For a man who had buried a son the year before, moving forward was not indifference. It was a decision. Rick kept moving. Chumlee's crisis came 8 years earlier, the kind that ends careers. So, why didn't it? Chumlee. Chumlee was the most recognizable face the Pawn Stars franchise ever produced, and he brought that recognition directly into the counting cars world when he drove his personal 1963 Lincoln Continental into Count's Customs for a custom build. That appearance connected the two shows in a way that mattered to fans of both. Chumlee started as the shop's comic relief on Pawn Stars and ended up being the reason most people kept watching. His knowledge of arcade machines, sneakers, and trading cards was detailed enough that collectors took him seriously, not as a television personality, but as someone who actually knew the material. His willingness to be the joke and his timing when he was made him the most watched person on a show full of more obviously compelling characters. He also crossed into the counting cars world directly when he brought his personal 1963 Lincoln Continental to Count's Customs for a custom build. In 2016, his home was searched by police as part of a sexual assault investigation. No arrests were made in connection with that inquiry. What the search uncovered was a separate matter: controlled substances and a collection of unregistered firearms. The charges he was facing carried the possibility of years in prison. He accepted a plea deal, counseling, and 3 years of probation, and avoided jail time entirely. He opened a candy shop on the Las Vegas Strip that became a genuine tourist destination. Chumlee's Candy on the Boulevard carries hundreds of varieties and leans into the nostalgia angle, retro packaging, imported sweets, and limited-run items. It became a regular stop on Las Vegas Strip walking tours within its first 2 years. He competed in celebrity poker. He launched Pawn After Dark alongside Rick, a podcast that drew on the same audience that had followed both of them for years across the Pawn Stars franchise. By 2026, the candy shop was running, the podcast had found its audience, and Pawn Stars reruns were still putting his face in living rooms every night. He had built more after the arrest than he had before it. Mike was the only one who said Ryan's name publicly, 8 years after the damage was done. Should Ryan have spoken out sooner, or was staying quiet the right call? And if counting cars came back tomorrow, who do you actually want back in that shop? Share your thoughts with us in the comments section. Remember to like, share, and subscribe for more. Also, click the next video showing on your screen. You will enjoy it.